Girl, guess what? Guess what? When I first got to Canada, I didn't believe this was Canada in a way because I've traveled before. Like, I've been to the United States. All my life, I've been traveling to the US. And I thought, oh, Canada is right next door to the US, is similar, right? Okay, I got some parts of that right. So everybody who's coming from Jamaica, you probably think, or even from Nigeria or Bahamas, you probably think, okay, Canada is right next door to the US, so most things are similar. While this is true to some extent, there are some things like nobody on YouTube talk about this, and I'm going to tell you. Like, let's start. The first thing first. When I moved to Canada, I felt like I was in India. When I just got here, like, it was a lot of Indians. It still is. And that was a shock. Like, nobody, like, you have a lot of Indians here. Like, you will go to some places and it's in Hindi. When I was working as a cashier, as my first job, right? I remember from time to time people came in, especially when you live in Surrey area, like I do. Like, from time to time people come in and they don't speak English. Like, they don't speak English. And me being hired there, and the only black girl, like, there, a lot of the times when they come and they see me, they immediately turn back because they know I don't speak Hindi. I only speak English, right? And I remember my boss, she is an Indian, but she was raised fully in Canada. She's a Canadian, but her parents came from India. And she was like, no, this is Canada. They need to speak English. I'm not going to apologize for that, right? And while I was like, yeah, I was also like, but at the same time, Canada is a country for immigrants. So if they don't speak English, I think we should facilitate that, ensure someone else is on staff that actually speak, but Hindi. But okay, right? So that was a big shocker for me. So just so that you know, if you're coming here, people don't talk about that, but when you get here, you will feel like you step into India. When you're on the bus, when you go to a lot of places, Indians are a lot. They are the dominant. They are here a lot. Like, when I first got here, I wonder, Canada and India have some trade or some deal or something? Because when I tell you they are a lot. You see them more than you see Canadians. They are a lot. I've met some really, really nice Indians, some really, really nice Indians, because at the end of the day, people are people, right? I've met some really, really nice ones, and I've met some not nice ones. So just like black people, some people say, oh, maybe you are nice, but then they meet another black person and that black person is mean to them. But people are people. That was the first shock for me in Canada. Yeah, another surprise for me was how few black people are, and I guess this was surprising for me because every time I traveled into the US, I always see a lot of black people, and I guess that's because I go to New York and Connecticut or Boston. Yeah, but mostly those places I see a lot of black people. But here, I've said this before, black people, we are few. And literally, when I tell you we are few, we are few. Like, for my workplace as an electrical engineer, I am literally the only black female engineer there. Like, you do have other female engineers, but I was the only black one. And it was there that it really hit me. I always say this in videos, that black people here, we are few, we are minorities. We are the minority. Like, every time I see a black person, we stare at each other or we might say hi. We are few. And being in the workplace, like, you don't know that you are black until you move to Canada. Let's be honest. We are coming from a country where we see people who look like us every day. it's not until you get here you get that shock of your life that you are different, and that people, because you are different, because your skin color is dark, people might treat you differently. People might be afraid to sit beside you on the bus, things like that. People are scared of you. They are. When they look at you, sometimes you can see that they are afraid of you. As well as sometimes, a lot of times, I realize Canada, surprise here again, Canada has a lot of immigrants. Like, you might see people and they look white, they ain't white. Or even if they are from some other country, because the minute they start talking, you realize, you're an immigrant just like me. So when you see people here, don't assume they're Canadian or they are from here. No. We are all immigrants, and the thing is, as immigrants tend to be, I don't know why, but they tend to be unkind to each other. They're so segregated. They feel like because their skin, they are brown or they are closer to the lighter side, they have more privilege or more right than you because you're black. They may not say it out loud, but they do give off that sense of like, woo. That's something you have to be cognizant of and know that, ooh, you know, they'd be like, oh, America is racist. I don't think America is as racist as some of the immigrants that are living here in Canada. It's not all, but some of them, they are. That's something that you have to realize. You're going to see it, you're going to realize it, but that's okay. You grow a thick skin, you move on. You know, it's a part of being in a country, being in a first world country. Recently, I had this experience, right? I was in the class and the professor said we should go into groups. And it happened to me in two classes back to back. And you know, he would say go into groups, and immediately, as wherever you are sitting in the room, naturally you're going to look around you, you know, for the people around you to say, hey, can I come into your group? Or hey, are you in a group? And it was like I turned around and I say, hey, are you in a group? Rejected me. Nobody wanted to be in group with me, you know. So I just like, okay, I sit, wait at the end, because it's 45 persons in the class and the groups of 5. So I'm like, either way, I'm going to have to be in a group. There's going to be a group that is short. So I sat there. At that point, I wanted to be like, can I do this by myself? Like, do I really need to be in a group? And that's the thing. When I felt like that, because I know I was rejected, right? And I know I'm being rejected because of the color of my skin. There's no other reason. There's nothing else there. And at that point, I knew if I had uttered to say, oh, should I be in a group by myself? I want to be in a group by myself. Then it seems, or I'm coming off as the angry black person, because that's how they look at us. So, you know, I just turned the other cheek and just went in the group. Because at the end of the day, no one really cares. No one be like, oh no, it's not, that's why we didn't choose you first, or we didn't, you know, no one cares. So that's one occasion. The other occasion was I was in the other class and the professor said we should join groups. At the end of the day, you know what happened? I saw 3 other persons in the class who are actually black people like myself. They're all from Nigeria, right? And easily, as we looked, immediately nobody was taking us. Like, one of the girls had joined with another guy, right? And then he saw other people, he just dropped her, and then she was by herself, and then she was like, I guess I'm in a group by myself. And I'm like, that's okay, hon, we can be the group. And then the other black guy was like, yeah. And then that was so we literally have a group, and as the minorities in the class, we are in that group by ourselves, a black group. Ain't nothing wrong with it, but that's just what I'm like. I'm just trying to show you my experiences. Like, hey, you don't know you're black until you get to Canada, I think until you get to Canada more so, because maybe if I was in the US is more woke and there's not so many immigrants who are, they literally moved to a new country and they're still No, they are not woke. They are still like thinking they are back in their home country, right? But the truth is, you are going to be aware that you are black. It's just a part of life. That's just life. So be prepared. It's not a surprise for me anymore. Like I said, I don't want to be perceived as the angry black woman. Sometimes I don't care. Sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna be the angry black woman today. Yeah, it's something you gotta be aware of. I know that I have 1 and 2 persons who are probably not black on this channel, and if you're not black like me, I'm telling you, when you get to Canada or when you're here, please be kind to people who are different from you. They may not be black, they may be brown. Be kind to people. Don't just stick to your own. You're no longer in your country. We're all immigrants here, right? Be kind. That's the human thing to do. I remember this time I was in a class, right? And it was like one of those first courses I did at school, and the professor tried to warn us, to tell everyone, hey, he showed us a video. We are all humans. It doesn't matter the color of our skin, the texture of our hair. Please do not generalize. You're in a new country. Respect people, because people are people. And at the time, I was like, that's so true, but I didn't get why he was doing that. But now that I'm now moving on and in my final semester, I really see why he did that. I really do. I see why. So these other 2 things is, I never thought about this before. It was never a problem back in my home country, but Canada has a lot of homeless people. I am in British Columbia in the Lower Mainland, and East Vancouver, Hastings Street is dedicated for homeless people. It is dedicated to homeless people. When I tell you people are homeless most of them is due to drugs. That was very surprising for me. Like, from time to time, I realized after being here a year, I realized that in summertime, like, the government of BC tries to like clean up the streets and move them to their designated area, which is, I guess, East Vancouver, Hastings Street around there is dedicated for them. They have like a prime location where in Vancouver, prime location where, you know, if they decide, okay, they want to get clean, they can actually go and get better. Like, homelessness, drugs, it's a real problem here. So if you're coming here as a new immigrant, be aware, be cognizant of the fact that drugs, it is a real problem in Canada. So if you should go to the doctor, especially as a person of color, whether you're brown or black or whatever, be careful of the drugs that they prescribe to you. In the healthcare system, drugs, they tend to be like, some drugs, they are more addictive than some, and drugs is a real problem here. So you don't want no doctor prescribing you anything that you might be addicted to over time. I do know that officials try to ban certain drugs that are highly addictive, but remember, I did say immigrants are unkind to each other. The healthcare system right now is a disaster, and you don't want nobody prescribing anything to you that you don't do your own research. That's something you need to know when you're here. You could be feeling a little headache. Yes, healthcare is free, but before you take any drugs prescribed by a doctor or not, do your own research, because drugs is a big thing here. Because homelessness, drugs, and addiction is a big problem here. Well, it also brings a lot of opportunities and employment in that area. So that's something for you to know if you're coming here, and it does pay above the minimum wage. When I say homelessness, I mean literally people living on the street with their tents. It's a sight that I was not prepared for, I was not ready for. Sometimes you see persons who have gone through taking drugs so much that it destroyed their body. They are walking and they are literally bent. Like, it's surprising. Like, You don't see those things. You know, where I'm coming from in Jamaica, when you see someone who is homeless, it's normally because they are mentally unstable, right? And they are mad. Here, people who are homeless is just because of drugs. It's just because they have an addiction. A lot of times it's because they have an addiction that they really cannot control. They can't help themselves. And you have to understand that they are not, it's not like they are mentally unstable. Well, I've worked with them, so I know that a lot of them, they are not mentally unstable. They do have sense. They are still cognizant of what's going on around them. It's just that they have a weakness, and it's really hard to break that addiction. Addiction is hard. And I remember when I used to watch movies online and you see them telling you that, oh, if you have an addiction, call the helpline. It's important. I was just like, As a Jamaican, you know, your parents tell us, say, don't take weed because weed will make you go cuckoo, right? So you stay away from that, you stay away from drugs. But if you're a parent and you're coming here, that's a thought that you literally have to have with your kids. It's very important to do, because addiction is a real problem here. It is. So those are my surprises. There still are some things, like from day to day might be different. It's really different from back home. The problems that first world people have is different from a third world country. And I guess maybe sometimes people, I don't know why they take drugs. I'm not good with this stuff. When you come here, it's a new environment. Growth is uncomfortable, and you just have to learn to grow. You gotta learn to adapt. You know, take it one day at a time. You'll get used to it. I know I am. So when I see someone who maybe, you know, look homeless or whatever, it's like nothing to me. Sometimes I see people, like recently I was on the train and then there was this man, and you know he's high, and you know some people probably don't sit near or close proximity to them. I am so immune, but not stupid, right? I will not turn my back, but I'm not going to not go sit in that corner. So you get used to it. That's what I'm saying. You'll get used to it. So all the best to you. If you're here, let me know what you think. Are you here in Canada and you were surprised from some of these things? Let me know. Leave the comments in the comment section. Tell me what was something that surprised you. Like, can you relate to the fact that the drugs is a real problem and the homelessness? Do you see it too? Were you like, wow? Or did you ever feel, or did people make you feel black? You know, or was someone unkind to you? Let me know. I've seen unkindness. I've seen it right in front of my eyes. I remember this. I was on the bus one time, and then this black guy sat beside this man, and the man was like, move, get away from me, move. And I was sitting there, and I was like, I saw it, you know, I witnessed that. But you know, it's life. You just gotta remember your why. That's just a disadvantage. But then the advantages far outweigh those, and not everybody is unkind. You meet some really nice people, really nice people. And I just gotta thank God for those nice people. You just gotta pray, cover yourself under the blood when you're stepping out in these streets, just the same. So all the best to you. Let me know. Don't forget to like, share this video, because that's the only way people are going to know what's going on. And I try to be completely honest. You know, your girl got you. Bye.